Today we're going to install the new fuel sender. Here's the new fuel sender. Here's the old fuel sender. You can immediately see that there are differences. One's nice and bright and shiny, and the other is rusted right down from the top of the tank to the bottom. This is a diesel tank. Wow. The replacement has this little thingy with a float on it, whereas the original doesn't. The replacement has this nice little cover over the, what is it, a rheostat? I think it's a rheostat. And the original doesn't. Taking some basic dimensions here. It looks like this one's set for the right length. Looks like the center point for the pivot arm is about the same. Might be a little off, but this was set up for a 5-ton, so I'm gonna trust that this has been calibrated for my 5-ton. What we're gonna do is we're gonna try to save the original gasket. Well, it doesn't look like it's in too bad a shape. Just gonna take the rust off of it. But this thing looks like it's salvageable. Then what I'll do is I'll put a little RTF around this side and kind of glue it to that. It should fit okay. Here's the original bolts. This is what I picked up from the hardware store. It's close. The ones I'm using are a little longer, but it doesn't really matter. The big difference is this has a little nub that fits into the hole on the flange. Kind of helps it seat through the hole, and as the hardware one doesn't. So again, the RTF I'm going to put around here should help fill that void. Use these up as we can. All right, there you go. I'll eventually paint this once I get it on the tank. Right now I'm just trying to get everything working. There's still a good chance that the problem I was having is also in the gauge, and maybe the electrical connection. So this might be coming out again. I'm fairly certain the problem is this. I mean, seriously? Half of it's gone. The surface needs to be cleaned a little bit. So, a little carb cleaner. And some artificial steel wool. Okay. What we'll do, we'll hit it up with a little gasket sealant. There we go. Now the fun part, threading it down into the tank. Okay, that wasn't too bad. I have to position it so the float is what is it, perpendicular to the tank? If the tank runs this way, this would be perpendicular. And then we're going to power them in with a cordless drill.
Plug the old wire in the sender and test it in the cab.
Alright. And we bring the power on. Both. Battery switch. It was reading full before, and it's still reading full. Now the tank is not full. Had to replace the sender anyways, so now we're going to be looking at wiring.
Before I can test the wiring, I first have to replace the electrical connection from the sender. Now, after repeated assembly and disassembly, I found that these fittings these replacement military fittings I found on eBay, well, they just don't stand up. They fall apart. However, I have found that a civilian fitting, this one from Everstart, does fit the pin in the sender and in the sender and in the gauges.
And it fits the military connector perfectly. Let's see if this will line up. So now on to the cab, and we will test the continuity of the line to make sure that there are that this line isn't grounding somewhere between the tank and the cab. I'm not sure what the ohm setting is on the sender, so we're just going to have to do a little trial and error on the gauge to find a setting where I've got signal from the sender. Also found that this Everstart fitting fits well on the end of my positive lead. Needed a little bit of crimping inside. And this fits into the sender, and then this will ground, the negative will ground to that body ground in there. So I'm getting signal from the wire. Doesn't appear to be grounding. Let me put my weight on the truck. All right, it is moving around, so it does kind of indicate that the float is working. I'm taking my weight off of it. Again, I don't know what the ohms rating is, but it does appear that the sender is working. So now that would indicate that we need a new gauge. I've already taken the old gauge out, and here's the replacement. The gauge grounds to the panel from the clamp, and the gauge just measures the resistance in ohms. You know, I really don't know how this thing works. It measures resistance. All right. That's lined up correctly. Okay. I'll tighten those down later. All right. This is the sender lead. Plugs in here. It's connected. Power lead. I'm just gonna get this in there as best I can. This connector came apart. This is just a rubber, like a little rubber gasket. It came apart when I was disassembling the unit. It's too old, but I haven't got a lot of lead here to put a new one on, so I'm just going to do the best I can. What I'll do is I'll liquid electric tape all of this in here. All right, time for the test. Power's on. Power's on. And the gauge doesn't work. Probably have the leads turned around. Power probably needs to go on the other side. The older electro fittings hold up better than the replacements. I've been plugging and unplugging these things all day. They work great. Turn the power on. And the gauge works. Woohoo! We're 3/4 full.